All right. My first question for both you guys is, how much fitter do you get from going to the game one time? Like, it seems like we'll
Going
have
to the
guys who
game?
kind of like squeak in through semifinals, like squeak in to go into the games. But then after they've been in the games once, it's like they're always a lock every time they go to like a semifinal from there on out. Why
I
is
feel like
that?
the way Adrian talks about it is like you get such a big like confidence boost and like what it's like to just like be a games athlete now, like have the credibility of it and see what it's like to like train like one, train around them, and you just like know what the precedent is and like what it has to be, and so you just at a whole nother level.
So it's just a confidence thing?
I think it's mental more than anything.
Interesting. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything you've done once. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Anything you've done once, you kind of think is possible again, and then it just becomes a lot more doable. And it's like, I mean, I think I was talking to Drake slightly about it. It's like, dude, it's so freaking cool. Well, sometimes we take for granted that we make it to semifinals every year because there are people who are also here competing in the RX division or on a team that have been trying just as long as us, but they just haven't made it. And so, like, now making semis is like, it's the coolest thing ever. But the first time you make it, you're like, oh my gosh. Like, for me, my first time I qualified, I was like, dude, this is my CrossFit games. Right. But now I've just like made it over and over again. And I bet that's just how it is for games athletes. Like, yeah. Yeah, I just think it's hard to go back once they've done it once.
It's interesting. Okay. So since we didn't talk yesterday, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the two workouts that happened yesterday. And
Three.
my first, three. And my first thing I got to say is those ropes were like maybe 13 feet.
Correct.
They looked so short.
Yeah. Well, they were like attached to the rig, and then like they had like a piece of tape underneath the knot that was on the rig that was like what you had to touch.
Yeah, and
I don't know
isn't that
why
like
they did that.
14 and a half foot rig in the first place?
Because like the knot is so like it's like 6 inches like the knot, and so
you kind of like
it's
have to that last
you have to
one
do
have to
such
be
a big
huge.
hand placement. I think it's like a safety thing, like when you can't like, especially for women, like their hand placements are so close.
Yeah,
they don't want to make.
So after you've done this workout, me and Drake talked a lot about it, about how like the shoulder to overhead felt kind of out of place, and about how like six felt like a huge chunk to start off with. After you've done it now, do you think it's a little bit more like reasonably programmed, or would you still? What are your thoughts on this after doing it?
I think it was kind of a dumb test. Like for that to be 100 points when the scores were, what were they, a minute, under 2 minutes?
Yeah, dude, Mason. Yeah, when we practiced at 15 feet, me and Drake were like, shoot, we didn't finish. And then we heard the first heat go. They're like, time to beat is 151. We're like, what the F just happened?
Yeah.
And so it was like shocking.
It was
and then
silly
Drake went and
it's
beat
like
that.
one whole event, and it was dumb.
Well,
too fast.
I mean, I think some of the taller guys were doing two pulls, like grab, touch.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree. I think it was like it felt like they weren't quite testing like almost anything for like some of the people at the higher level. So yeah, that was interesting. And then what about the second one?
Same guy won both, which was surprising.
Yeah, remember how I
Drake,
said whoever won
Drake
the
called
first?
that. I was wrong.
I said whoever won the first would get top 5, but yeah, it was back to back person.
Was it Nate Ackerman?
Yeah. So that just went to show like it was not much of a discrepancy of a test.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's like a rope climb with one leg pull is completely different than a rope climb where you have to do two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was one the whole time for most people.
Mike, what did you get on this second one?
Not very good. I got 15th on that second one.
Okay. So I'm curious on this one. What was like the limiter? Because I thought it would be like just overall kind of like metabolism, like you just start to like just feel worn down. But watching the stream, like everyone was finishing and like nobody looked like really wrecked.
I would say that was overall just engine fatigue.
It might have been just execution too, like being patient with your legs. So you only had to do one pull instead of like 1.5.
I think it was a little bit of grip, but it was like for me, like with the thruster and like trying to like be quick on transitions a little bit. It came down to just like breathing, at least for me. Yeah, because the thrusters were demanding.
So, so Nate Ackerman won both of those,
Mm-hmm.
and then Ibarra, Nick Matthew. Oh, Drake, you took 6th on that one.
Yeah.
Drake smashed that. Dude, Drake even went sub. Were you sub 150 on the first part, Drake?
I was like
152.
151, I think.
So good.
That's impressive.
But like, look at how like tight the spread is on that first part. Like, I think if points are that tight, or like the scores are that close of a spread, it's like not that good of a test, unless it really is like you're at the CrossFit Games. There's 15 events. One of them's a sprint test. You have chip timers type of deal, and it's like supposed to be like that. But I don't feel like a test like that is supposed to be that close of a spread.
I feel like there's got to be workouts where like every second counts. But I feel like doing that with like shoulder to overheads at 205s and like 13-foot rope climbs or whatever just felt like it wasn't quite like that. Doesn't feel like the time where you should be fighting for every second.
Yeah.
Like the time where you should be fighting for every second is something like where you're like kind of having to output a lot of power rather than just run back and forth to the rig.
Yeah.
So did the 205 bar feel like as easy as we thought it was going to?
Yeah, it was kind of, yeah, it was
I don't
pretty
think
relevant.
I don't think it affected your rope climbs at all.
Okay. And then second one that happened that day, or third one, I guess, was
Mike
Cyclone. And Mike just
obliterated the field.
Everybody, bro.
Dude, I think that might have been the most dominant performance all weekend.
I think you had probably I think more than 10% more calories than the next closest guy. Do you think anybody in this field went 10% faster on any of these events than the other person?
I think, yeah, Trayvon did today.
Did he beat everybody that much?
I think he was like 8. We have to look.
Let's look. Was it Ringer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, he went 23. No, he went 26 seconds faster.
No, that ain't 10%. So Nick maybe on Isabel. He was like 4:13. The next person was like 4:40, maybe.
Isabel.
Yeah.
4:13. Yeah, this would be up there. But to do it on something that's just like straight engine, like not a gated type workout like that with a I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, like a gated workout here. That was impressive, dude. Anyway,
dude, Mike could have sat out the last 2 rounds and he would have beat me.
You could have sat the last 2?
Yeah.
All right. Was this the endurance test?
Yeah.
I think that one, but also the first one was a pretty good test too.
That one was a lot more muscular endurance, but it was definitely endurance too.
Yeah, dude, that bike one was nasty.
The bike was straight breathing though.
How was that rope? The heavy or the like whatever they're called ropes.
It was fine.
It was
I feel like you couldn't go much faster than other people, but you could go slower if you didn't do it right. If that makes sense.
What were they calling those ropes?
Heavy ropes.
Fat heavy ropes or something.
Yeah, Mike, you literally I think you could have just coasted the last round.
75.
and still
Everybody else is not even close. Disgusting.
Dude, it was good. I mean, there's a lot I got to work on outside of the engine work, but it was a good workout.
Dude, I didn't choke up enough on my thing looking at Mike, and like that's what I heard.
you were like too letting it
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah, and so I was just like working with more rope, which was unnecessary, you know.
Mike, I think that you genuinely have a games level engine.
I
He
know that's what's
100%
frustrating, dude.
He 100% does.
Like I was super
And my
stoked
redhead.
with it.
Mike, are
ahead.
you redhead?
I don't know what I am.
I have a
Making
theory that
sure.
redheads always have the best engines,
My beard's red.
and you're kind of redhead.
There you go.
Taylor Self, Pat Vellner.
Yeah.
Just those
So,
men.
you want to hear something crazy? I know we talked about this last time, but how many did you say was going to beat Jacob Hepner's score?
We said 2 or 3.
And nobody did.
But what's hard too is he didn't
Mike
have our
was still-
transitions.
True.
That's true. Mike was still even 13 cals behind.
I know that's crazy. He's so. I wonder what his splits were like. When did he get to the bike every round?
He's
He said, his splits. I don't know. He said 25 cals the whole time and then 28 on the last one.
Dude, 28 on the last one is so gross.
Insane.
I will say, I was talking to Drake about it, and Angelo DeChico was talking about it too when I watched it back. That no one was using their bucket to sit down, but I was.
Oh yeah, dude, they were talking about that on stream. They're like, look at
Yeah,
Mike
that's what I
sitting
was
on
saying.
his chalk bucket.
Dude, it wasn't at first. It wasn't a strategy. It was just because my legs needed to breathe. But then I was like, oh, it probably paid off. Not standing on them.
I think there was a feeling. I didn't really pay attention to what they were saying, but I think they were kind of feeling like you might have gone out too hot on that first round.
Yeah, because there was I think the first 2 heats, someone did like a 28 and a 27 or 28 and a 30 their first round. And then
Yeah.
obviously the best scores were like 146 and 138 before that.
But you knew you hadn't,
Um,
or were you like towing the line?
yeah,
pretty
so
well?
I actually could have gone more the first round, but that was like that was when I knew I didn't go too hot is when I had probably a couple more cows, but I just kind of pulled back with like 15 seconds left. I still was like going, but I wasn't like redlining or anything.
The last few, dude, it just looked like by the last few rounds, it just looked like you wanted it more than everybody else. Like you looked like you were hurting. Like a lot of people were like still kind of sitting up and stuff and like pedaling kind of upright. You by the like last few, you were like kind of down, and it looked like you were like going through it.
Yeah, no, it sucked because in my head too, I was like, the only way I lose this is if I want to hurt less.
Oh yeah, I was gonna
And
ask you,
so,
did you know where everyone was at?
yeah, it was cool. They announced it after every round, so you could hear.
Okay.
And I just thought that like Chris and Nick, because they slowly kind of close the gap. I thought they were kind of saving it for the last 2 rounds, and so there was definitely some fear, like rounds 4 or 5, that I might have gone out too hot. But then I was like, it's too late to like just up to like a 13 one round, because then I knew they would have caught me.
Yeah. Drake, what did you end up averaging?
Average. I got one. I think I averaged around 17, like what I did in practice.
About what you did in
basically.
training. Yeah. Then, so that was the end of day 2. Where was everybody sitting at? Drake, you were in
6th.
6th. Mike, you were in 11th, I think.
Yeah.
And then day 3 started off this morning with, guess what? Another squat and upper body pulling workout.
This one, the biggest limiter was definitely the gymnastics. The gymnastics were tough.
The pulling or the handstand walk?
The handstand walks added to it, I thought, like on the grip and stuff for sure, and the shoulders. Yeah, they were just tough. Like the sandbag was hard because like it made you breathe and stuff, but it wasn't the limiter.
Did it feel awkward? Like, is it like an awkward sandbag squat, or can you kind of put it like on your back?
You could put it however you wanted. Yeah, everyone's holding on like their shoulder and back.
I would like to say I sucked more than I should have just because I tore my grips on the first set of rings. But that's
Really?
okay. Yeah, good thing I brought another pair out. But there was probably a 10 to 15-second pit stop is all, and I switched it out. So it still wouldn't have like made that big of a difference. But I think it kind of mentally defeated me seeing myself come off last on the
Yeah.
rings, which is dumb, but whatever. I learned my lesson.
So the limiter here was more just the upper body pulling.
Yeah, I got really grippy, especially on that last set of pull-ups. So for me,
That's what I don't like
But
about
Drake,
this.
you were.
Had a,
Go ahead.
Mike.
I was just gonna say Drake still held really awesome sets through all of that.
Yeah, what were you holding?
I did 6-5-4, 10-10-10, and then 5 sets of 9.
That's so
What
good.
about you, Mike?
I went 7-5-3, and then I went 12-8, 5-5, and then I think I did like 2 sets of 10, and then 8-7, 5-5, or something like that.
See, what I don't like about this work is like with the way I saw it play out, it was oddly it was awfully similar to the 2 rope climb thruster workouts, especially the
How
second
does the
one.
leaderboard show with that?
That's a good question.
What
Because
do you
I
mean
finished
still?
pretty much the same there as I did on the second gymnastics one, or the second row one.
So-
Sorry.
Let's look at this rope one. Ackerman, he took first on the rope climb thruster. He took 4th on the ringer, and then Ibarra took 2nd on the rope climb, 3rd, 2nd, 4th, 11th, 5th, 26th, 6th, 6th, 7th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 9th, 5th, 10th, 33rd. So it was kind of close. I guess not the exact same, but I just think like if you've got 7 workouts to have rope climb, shoulder to overhead, rope climb thruster, sandbag squat, pull up, it just feels a bit redundant in terms of like movement patterns and stuff you could use.
I was asking Drake this earlier today. It wasn't geared towards the gymnastics ones. It was geared towards a clean one. But I want to hear your thoughts, Mason. It's like, so let's say instead of that, what could they have tested that they haven't tested yet?
Instead of
Let's just say instead of the OKC ringer, if it was too similar. So first of all, would you have done 50 and 50 points on the 2 rope climb ones?
well, yeah, if I had done it, I would have done 50 and 50. And I think also on OKC ringer, even if you just change that to like a sandbag lunge, I think it would be better because there was like me and Drake talked about this when the programming came out. It was like really squatting redundant, and there was like not a whole lot of like posterior chain stuff. So even if you change that to a lunge with the sandbag, I feel like that would have been probably better.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like there was not a whole lot of yeah, I don't know.
Could have done like
I just think
handstand walk, handstand push up.
yeah, they did do handstand walk, but handstand push up probably would have been good.
I feel like you gotta. I don't know. I don't think you can just have only the rope as your only upper body pulling. You definitely.
Yeah, maybe like a workout with
definitely did have
handstand
to have
push-ups
some-
and ring muscle ups.
Definitely did have to have like the high skill. I think like ring or bar muscle ups at least.
But do you agree that to have upper body pulling in 3, like upper body pulling, like pretty dense too, in 3 workouts out of 7? Or do you
Yeah.
think it was fine?
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I definitely see the argument. I think I don't know. For me, the second part, the thruster regular rope climb, just didn't feel like pulling the rope was not the limiter.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, especially at 13 feet.
Exactly.
Okay,
I
so
got
then
a couple minutes.
All right, let's talk about the last one real quick, and then I'll let you go.
Hey, I
So-
hope you watch that live, or you at least watch it play back.
The last one?
Me?
Yeah. Yes.
I did. I did.
Dude.
They barely got Drake finishing.
I wasn't even on the live stream, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, Drake.
Like the only
he
reason I
came
noticed
in,
is because I was looking for him.
Dude, he came in a second to 2 seconds before Nate, but they have Nate tying him.
Yeah.
Oh,
They have
really?
Nate beating me. They gave Nate the
Yeah.
tiebreak. I
Yeah.
won though for sure.
Dude,
Oh,
if
you
you
did?
watch the replay, go pull up the CrossFit Games Instagram right now. You'll even see it.
Yeah, you can see Nate is like 2 steps behind me.
Did you guys have chip timers on?
No. Dude, Mason, I don't know if you want Drake to retell the story or me as a spectator, but dude, Drake was not in the lead on that.
I
But
was
he
the
was
last
like-
person to touch the barbell in that I watched it.
I
was
saw
the
that. And
last
then you
person.
went touch and go, right?
Yeah.
They have this. Where is it? Oh, let me share this tab.
CrossFit Games. Go down.
Yeah.
I'll tell you which one.
The
That
you
one of
see.
Drake on the left, yeah. Watch him cross the line and then look at Nate in the background. Watch this. Boom. And then he crosses
Oh my
back there.
gosh, bro.
Yeah, stupid.
And did you say so? It doesn't look like you guys are wearing chip timers.
No, we're not.
No.
I cross. Nate crosses.
What the frick?
Yeah,
I know.
close. So I mean, they still interviewed me and everything, and like posted me here to get the event win. So.
But then why'd they put it on on the leaderboard like that?
Because
Who knows?
my judge maybe hit late and their judge hit early.
Oh, was
And
the
they
judge
just-
hitting like a thing
a
at the end of your
stopwatch.
lane?
Oh,
Oh,
well.
stopwatch. Dude, that's freaking dumb, bro. I was gonna ask about this. So you guys tied, but then they gave it. You guys tied.
The
Obviously, you guys
tiebreak was
didn't.
who came in on the run first.
Oh my gosh, bro!
Okay, listen to this,
You
Mason.
came in 6 seconds faster or after him.
Listen to this. So then Drake gets on the bar, goes 4 touch and go. And then he's like the third one to the 275. And Nick Matthew, by the way, as soon as Drake has one more at 275, I just said his name. Nick Matthew is starting his 315, hits it. Drake gets to his 315 bar, and Nick Matthew has one left. As he's resting, Drake hits his one. Yeah, I'll just tell the story as you're watching. So he goes touch and go. You can see he's not the first to his bar. Dude, and watching it, Drake, I wish you could have seen Nick to your side. I know you weren't watching him at all.
Mhm.
It was unreal. So Nick was like, I don't know if he went touch and go right here too. But Drake was freaking composed. Right to his right, I think is, or to your left, Drake is
He was 2 over.
Jacob Marlowe. Yeah, I think that's Marlowe. So then Nick had already hit one, and now he's resting, and Drake hits his one right now. He hits it, and then Nick just went and misses a rep. He had a no
Oh, yeah, I
rep,
saw
and
that
then
on the live
Drake
stream.
freaking picks it up and just goes like a
Dang,
dude.
bro.
And we're all just freaking out, and he crosses the line, and it was unreal. Like he was never in the lead until that 315 bar, and everyone else had to recoup. It was the sickest final to watch in the world.
Yeah, they didn't even put me on the freaking live stream.
Dang, bro. That's sick.
It was a cool finish. Felt cool.
But they didn't give you the win. That's gay.
No,
Yeah,
they gave it to him.
at least they did where it mattered because, like, on the socials and stuff, like, everyone thought of me as the winner. So.
The socials is what matters.
Well, just because,
Um,
like, even if I would have beat him, it wouldn't have changed the placings at all.
Yeah. So on that one, did the run matter at all?
Yes.
In what way?
Because there was a lot of people that blew up.
Wait, let's talk about Hannah Black real quick before we wrap up.
Well, I'm pretty sure I didn't even really get to see any guys go, but like I think even in our heat, like there was plenty of guys like failing bars, like going way too hot. But I didn't get to see the women because I was drug testing, so Mike can tell.
Okay, listen to this, Mason. So Hannah Black's her powerful athlete she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're her coach, are you telling her to come in first or last on that run?
Oh, like
Or do you not have a preference?
Like in the back?
Okay, well, it turns out she's the first done with a run. She goes 4 touch and go at the first bar, which is 155. Smoking everyone. Then there's 3 touch and go at 185 at the next bar. Doesn't wear a belt, no sleeves. and everyone's like, she's gonna get her game spot, right? She's 3 points behind Sydney McLaughlin, or however you say her last name. And she jumps up to the 215 bar and misses it. She tries to squat it and it buries her, much like myself. And then
Much like myself.
and she steps back and then she goes again to try and squat it, misses it again, dude.
Oh my gosh, bro. Oh, did he cut out?
I guess. I didn't get to see any of this. So I was sitting in the back having to wait to pee.
So they drug test you right after you won?
Yeah, dude, it took like an hour and a half. They
Did you
tested the
pass?
top 5. They tested the top 5.
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah. I won't know.
I thought it was like one of those things where like, Mike, I can't hear you. Mike, we can't hear
Mike.
you. We can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Nope.
You might have to rejoin.
But yeah, I heard it was crazy. She like bombed it and then lost.
I'm looking for it right now.
I didn't get to see it, but yeah, bro,
Is
that
she-
drug test takes forever.
Was there 3 heats?
Yeah, it was the last heat.
All right, let's see if we got Mike back.
Okay, so Hannah's missed 2 at this point. Then
Just watch
Olivia
it quick.
and Rachel.
Is this,
can we
is this
watch
it
it?
right here?
This is it. Just leave it right here.
Yes. Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah, she's in the green.
Is she?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's nothing.
I just rip in the bar.
Look,
Why'd you
dude.
go touch and go in the middle bar?
And she had no belt or sleeves. Like in
That's
case,
crazy,
like
bro.
an SOS.
Dude,
Watch
she's
this.
so ahead of everybody. Shit's buried, huh?
Oh, my gosh. Dude.
That happened to me 3 times, by the way.
Where's Sydney McAlishan at?
She's like on the far right.
She fails again. She tried to power that one.
I know, dude.
Real quick. Watch Olivia Kerstetter here. Should this be allowed?
Stupid starfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good, but yeah.
Dude.
Where's Rachel?
So
You knew
has she
at
felt
this
1 or
point-
2?
Rachel's
Oh.
one more to the right. Right there. Dude, listen to this. Hannah was 3 points behind second.
Oh my gosh. Bro.
If she would have just gone regular and didn't have to be
She
the
felt again.
hero,
She felt 3.
look, that's what I'm saying.
She
She ended up getting like 14th or 12th or 9th or something on that event. You got to check the score after.
She fell 3 reps right there.
Yeah, I think she fills
Yeah.
another watch.
Yep.
Oh my.
Dude,
Oh.
we're just all, I was sitting next to EJ Hine and we're like, dude, who the F was her coach telling her to do that?
I don't know if she has one. Dude.
And then she powers it. Oh
Like
my
it was nothing.
gosh, bro.
I know. I'm like, dude, have an emergency back. I think Fusilier right there. Look at
Felt
that.
again. Dude, that's like 5.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
She barely gets it.
Dude, if you
how
can
does she
power it
so
like
easy?
that, holy crap, dude.
Wow.
So sad.
Fusilier.
All right, let's go look at this leaderboard. I want to see what happened with this.
All right, and then I'm hopping off.
All right.
Dude, it was the craziest thing to watch live. Everyone was just like in shock. Like, why did she do that?
She ended up
We're
missing by
still seeing the YouTube screen, Mace.
39 points.
We're still seeing the YouTube.
She
She took 15th.
Yeah, dude, is that crazy?
Bro, even if she had so she missed by 39 points. Even if
I
she
know.
had taken like how many, do you know how many points it was per point per placing?
That's like 3 till 80, and that's like 5. I don't know.
Dude, even if she
Oh.
had taken like 7th, she would have qualified. Holy crap, bro.
Wild.
She probably had enough tears they could have used it for drug testing instead of pee.
All right. I'm hopping off.
All right, later, Drake.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Nice job, bro.
Bye.
All right. Dude, Nate Ackerman, holy crap, bro. He looked freaking good. Let me go to the men's leaderboard. So I'd never heard of this dude. I mean, Jake Marlowe placed above him, but I don't think I was paying that much attention to him. But I kept hearing Nate Ackerman, kept watching him. He looked freaking good. His placings were a little inconsistent. So he had 17th, a third on Heavy Isabel, and then 2 firsts on, which I think is like kind of similar workouts, which is a bit whatever. 23rd on Cyclone, and then a 4th and a 1st. So, like, he just had a few where if he was a little bit higher, like, even just on Cyclone, if he had been 15th, like, he would have been up there with Chris. So that was interesting. And then it looks like his kind of struggled. This is the long one, I think, with the step ups and wall balls and stuff. And then this is the other long one with the bike. So it looks like he might need to work on these longer workouts or the grindy ones. Our boy Rachel, our girl Rachel, where'd she end up? Where'd she finish? So she ended up taking 4th place. She had a 4th, a 5th, a 8th, 1st, 20th, 2nd. So if she had taken, instead of 20th, if she had taken 10th, that would have been, which one was on that on? That was on Cyclone. If she had taken 10th instead of 20th, that would have been 73 points instead of I don't know where it went. Oh, I'm looking at Cyclone. No, it was OKC Ringer. If she had taken 10th instead of 20th, she would have got 73 points instead of 43. So that would have been 30 more points, which would have put her in 3rd, just below Sydney Mikulishin. Ooh, that's tough. Anyway, me and Drake are going to stream tomorrow. We got a few things to talk about. First is that I think, like late stage capitalism, we are in late stage CrossFit. It's at the end. We're nearing the end. Things can't sustain like this anymore. All the good things about CrossFit are also the reason why we're having bad things now. I also want to ask him about whether or not you should scale workouts when you're first starting CrossFit, or if it's more important to work on specific things. And then I saw a thing. I'm going to talk about this right now. Look at this. There's a gym that doesn't allow you to take your shirt off. And they made a post on Instagram. Why can't I take my clothes off? So this is a affiliate that I just popped up on my Instagram. And it says, why can't I take my clothes off? We don't allow tops off in the gym. Your body is powerful. You should be proud of it. But at Fauna, we believe confidence doesn't need to be on display. We train to feel strong, not to compete. We train to get better, not to impress. We also know people stick around longer when they feel comfortable showing up as themselves. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely love helping people build bodies they love. But more importantly, so I'm not sure how I feel about this. Well, let me just say from my perspective, if I went to a gym and they didn't let me take my shirt off, I would just think they're kind of like whiny. Like it feels a little bit whiny. It's like, why can't I just take, like, I don't know. Also, I've noticed that as I do CrossFit more and more, so when I first started doing CrossFit, I took my shirt off all the time. Like I always had my shirt off. And then like I've noticed as I do CrossFit more and more, I kind of like wear my shirt more and more now. Like it just has become kind of like there's so many more things that are like so much easier and better when you wear your shirt. It's like stuff is not slipping off your shoulders or I don't know. I know I wear my shirt a lot more now than I used to. I would never do this if I was a gym owner. But I get it. Like it's like you don't want like that one dude always walking around like with his shirt off because it makes people be like chill, dude. We had this one dude at the gym I went to a few years ago, and he just had the hairiest chest you've ever seen. And I could not stand looking at him. Like he would just take his shirt, and it wasn't like anything about it. It was just like the hair for some reason, just like it made me so uncomfortable. I don't know if it was just like it just felt like the creepy like uncle that just like has his shirt off and he's like all hairy. So I kind of get it, but I also actually I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate like not allowing shirts off at the gym. Yeah, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm all for free expression and everybody being different. So I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Aside from that, yeah, I got a stream with Drake on Monday and Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have another guest, Brendan. And then I have a video hopefully coming out at the end of this week that is going to be either does CrossFit make you more athletic or why did Greg Glassman hate the CrossFit Games? And the why did Greg Glassman hate the CrossFit Games actually came up because of this video by Coffee Pods and Wads, Peter or Pedro or whatever the heck his name is. Let me show you this comment that I made. So, Coffee Pods and Wads posts this thing. It's an interview with Greg Glassman, and he basically asks him, "Would you fire the media?" Oh, why am I sharing the wrong screen? So, it's this interview with Greg Glassman. He basically asks him about when Greg fired the media team in 2019 or 2018 or whatever. And he basically says, would you do it again? Like, would you fire all of those people again? And Greg basically says, yes, I would do it again. And then he goes on to say that he actually reached out and had like a bunch of people that he talked to about selling them the CrossFit Games portion of CrossFit. And he would keep the affiliates and seminars or training. So, and no one wanted it, obviously, because it doesn't make any money. And he kind of talks about that and basically says, yes, I would fire everyone again. So I just thought that was interesting. And then I come into the comments and I say, the CrossFit Games were never meant to be a sport. They were meant to be more of a challenge or competition. It may have been inevitable that it turned into a sport, but that's when it departed from the methodology and really the meaning of CrossFit, which is why I think Greg felt it no longer fit. Now, what I meant by that is like, obviously Greg was super into CrossFit when it started. Like he was into the games when it started. He was actually involved when they started the CrossFit Games. But as time kind of went on, it morphed from being Greg saying, hey, everybody come do these workouts. We're going to pull workouts out of a hopper. We're going to do all sorts of crazy, like hard stuff. And we're going to see who's the fittest. And it's going to be everybody's invited. But then as it went on, it kind of became like a sport. instead of a challenge or a competition. Like it was just like a thing of like, come do this. Like, it's a challenge. Like, come beat us. We dare you. And it turned into a sport with rules and with the same athletes all the time and with constants and with all this stuff. And it slowly shifted away from what Greg actually loves and what CrossFit actually is, which is the methodology of CrossFit. So then this guy says, I don't agree. CrossFit is inherently a sport. Does it have a methodology? Yes. But how does distracting yourself from the competition aspect affect the methodology? Oh, distancing. And I'm genuinely asking because maybe I'm missing something. Now, this is what I say here. What I'm saying it basically became a functional fitness competition rather than a testing of the CrossFit methodology, which is why Greg doesn't like it. When the game started, the idea was to prove that those who trained CrossFit were the ones who were the fittest. They were ready for anything. They were ready for long runs. They were ready for heavy lifts. They were ready for the heat. They were ready for everything, right? CrossFitters train to be prepared for the unknown and for the unknowable. And then as the years went on, it became a sport. There was a format. There was a qualifying system. It was the same athletes year after year. There were standard rules, blah, blah, blah. Or, as Greg calls it, it turned into thruster races. The unknown and unknowable became the known and knowable. The programming followed the same patterns year after year. The broad times and modal domains became a formula. In fact, watch this. Watch this. Let me go look at the programming for the CrossFit Games. CrossFit Games workouts. And this is going to prove my point of it became a formula. It wasn't CrossFit anymore. Game season. Oh. So I'm going to go look at the workouts. And watch this. I'm going to write this down too. Games, the CrossFit Games. Workouts. What a shit ass website. Holy crap. Games. Workouts. All right, I'm going to just have to type the URL in and hope that this is right. Wow. Hey, guess what, CrossFit? If someone has to go in and guess the URL for something to try and find something that should be on your website anyway, it's not a good website. Let me try 2025. Ooh. Okay. So let's go to 2024. I'm going to look for workouts that include thrusters. Okay. Final 21, final 24, and final 18-15. Okay. That's 1 year. Let's go to 2023. Why is this thing being like this, man? Oh my gosh. CrossFit, you are a joke, dude. A absolute joke. Why? Okay. I remember 2023 was the Echo Thruster final. 2022 was Jackie Pro. 2021 was, there was thrusters in 2021, wasn't there? Oh yeah, it was the wall walk. It was, I think it was event 4. It was the wall walk with the heavy thrusters. 2020 was Happy Star and Friendly Fran. Okay. This is the last 5 years of the CrossFit Games. No, 4 years of the CrossFit Games. 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. 5 years of the CrossFit Games. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 workouts with thrusters in them, and the weight was always between 95 pounds and 185 pounds. And the workout was always between, I think the shortest one was probably Friendly Fran at 4 minutes. And the longest one was Event 4 at 20. Like I said, this is a formula. This is a thruster race. This is not CrossFit. Look at this. Let's go back to my comment. Okay. The unknown and the unknowable became a formula with the programming following the same patterns year after year. The broad times and modal domains became a formula. A formula. Look at this. And guess what? I bet you I could find a bunch of other workouts that fit this exact same formula, or some other formula that looks the exact same, like snatches and burpees. As I said in my earlier comment, maybe that was the way it was destined to go no matter what. Maybe that's the natural progression of the sport. You can't just have a backyard thing where you're pulling workouts out of a hopper forever. Maybe, or can you? But when we have reached the point in which people, athletes, spectators, even people within the CrossFit team complain because the pegboard, the crossover double under came up out of nowhere, or things are gimmicky, or when athletes complain that it's too hot or something is too high volume and it's dangerous, it's a good indicator that we aren't testing CrossFit anymore. We're just testing freaking functional fitness. As Greg said, it's just thruster races. That's why he doesn't like it, because it's just thruster races. I think he would like it if it was how it used to be, where they were pulling events out of a hopper and anything was a go. Personally, instead of Greg getting rid of it, I would have liked to see it flip back the other way. Bring back the CrossFit Games wild card. Invite random athletes from other disciplines to come do CrossFit and show everybody how insane CrossFitters are and how insane CrossFit is. Invite Hyroxers, NFL players, hybrid athletes, obstacle course racers. Invite everybody. Strongmen. Dude, imagine. They have the games, and there's a strongman there, and there's an Oli lifter there, and there's one of the top powerlifting guys there, and there's a good runner there. Like, this is what this was the point of CrossFit, of the CrossFit Games, was to prove that CrossFit training is better. If you were to take invite somebody who everyone thinks is like an insane athlete and have them come to the CrossFit Games, and you'll see how much better CrossFit athletes are than those guys. Have them do Murph in 100-degree weather. Have new movements, pull stuff out of the hopper, do stuff we've never seen before. Include the backflip, because it's in the 100 word in fitness for 100 word fitness in 100 words. In fitness in 100 words, it says flips. You didn't know that? Watch this. Fitness in 100 words. Watch this. See that? Right there? Blah, 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 blah. Practice the basics of gymnastics. Pull-ups, dips, rope climbs, push-ups, sit-ups, presses to handstand, pirouettes, flips. We've never had any flip at the CrossFit Games because it's gimmicky or too dangerous, even though freaking 4-year-olds can do a standing backflip. The thruster races will obviously be included in this, but we are finding the fittest actually, and I want to talk about the Murph in 100-degree weather. So in 2015, I think they had Murph, and it was like, I don't know, 100 degrees outside or something. I don't even think it was that hot. And who was the athlete? It was Kara Sanders had a heat stroke. She like collapsed at the finish line, blah, 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 ambulance or whatever. And then from then on, all the athletes complained about the heat. Oh, it's too hot to do this event. Oh, it's too hot to do that event. Oh, Texas is too hot to do the workouts. Let me show you something. I'm looking it up. This was posted on CrossFit.com very, very early on, probably before the games even existed. This was posted on CrossFit.com. You know what he's doing? He's doing Fran in his firefighting gear. You know why? Because for him, being fit means being ready to deal with the heat. And then we have all these athletes complaining, oh, it's too hot. It's too hot. Well, let me tell you something. If me and you go out and do Murph, and it's 105 degrees, or it's 100 degrees outside, and we're wearing vests, and you have heat stroke, and I don't, and I finish the event before you, I'm fitter than you in that context. If you can finish the event before someone else because they have a heat stroke, then that person is fitter. So I'm tired of everybody, or no, excuse me. Let me backtrack. So the point is, that is why I think Greg did not like the games, is because it turned into a sport instead of a testing of the CrossFit methodology, which is why I think he got rid of it. Along with that, if it was just a testing of the methodology, and there was the things that I talked about with pulling things out of a hopper, new movements, getting rid of the standards and the and making it bringing back the wild card and making it true how the sport was in the beginning, the sport when it was actually just a competition or like a challenge, then I think Greg actually would have liked that, and it actually wouldn't need a media team like it did. The only reason it needed a media team was because it became a sport. It became functional fitness, which I think is what Greg didn't like. It wasn't testing the methodology. It was testing functional fitness. So anyway, I'm making a video about that. It should be out hopefully at the end of the week. It's either going to be that or whether CrossFit makes you more athletic, which me and Drake already had a discussion on, which you can go watch. It's one of my old lives. Other than that, sorry about the rant, but peace.